Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com with our weekly show, Courtney on Health. And Courtney has a knife in her hand. Oh my God.
That must
Welcome,
mean
Courtney.
that
Welcome back.
Courtney's in the kitchen ready to slice and dice.
Courtney's in the kitchen with Maxine.
Well, only by Zoom.
By Zoom.
So hello, lovely lady Courtney.
Hello.
and our gentleman out in LA, Malcolm. Welcome to Courtney on Health, a podcast, Zoomcast series about how to get through COVID times and all sorts of other times with tips on nutrition and exercise given by Courtney Gravenese, registered dietitian with a Master of Science degree in nutrition and applied physiology. Courtney is an experienced nutritional and health consultant in the New York metro area and beyond, and will help guide you on a path to wellness and health. So we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna try to get through this quick, but it's the poem's called Picklicious. It's really not a poem. It's kind of, a short version, and it's by Barbara Gorelick. And this is what she said. Mr. Moody yearned for a big pickle. His taste buds he needed to tickle. He ate 24 and then fell on the floor. Digestion can be oh so fickle.
Ooh.
But wow, that's a lot of pickles. So if you saw the movie Crossing Delancey, which was back in the 80s, so that's a little way back, you'll remember that the plot revolves around a man who makes pickles. He's a pickle man, a beautiful woman who works at a bookstore, and a Jewish grandmother who hires a matchmaker to get them together. And if you go to the Lower East Side where this took place, there's terrific pickle stores. One in particular, the Pickle Guys, which was formerly Gus's Pickles. They have pickles in barrels, and you can sample the super sour, the half sour, the slightly sour,
Nice.
which is like a new pickle, and other things. They pickle everything there, beets and tomatoes, and you got it, you can go. And it's so great to taste the saltiness and the crunch. And so cucumbers are a summer staple, and they're nutritious and taste great in salads. And so today Courtney is gonna give us a demonstration and how to pickling some of these cucumbers, some that she's grown.
And she's not going to get pickled.
And so, but the whole thing about this show is let's get ourselves in a pickle. So Courtney, how are we doing this? What's the way? What's the remedy? What's the recipe?
So first of all, hello to both of you. Hope you're well. So this time of year, whether you grow your own or whether you go to your market, we see a whole lot of these beauties around. Cucumbers, they're fresh, they're in season, they're wonderful, they're a great source, just like you said, Maxine. They're very nutritious, they're high in vitamin K, they're high in vitamin C, and they happen to be one of the top 10 most water-containing foods that we can eat. So particularly when it's hot out and you're trying to hydrate, they are a great food to consume. They happen to be super low in calories, so it makes it an all-around really great food. I happen to have a small cucumber garden, and luckily I'm having a good crop this year. So I thought it would be fun. This is my very, very first time making these to pickle. This is called a quick pickle for making pickles. There's a different, we're going to talk about fermentation versus sort of the quick pickle, just the pickling of a pickle in just a second. But I have a recipe. A friend of mine, Steve, brought a jar of his homemade pickles as a hostess gift to me when he visited last, and I loved them, and they were delicious. And my kids love cucumbers. My daughter in particular is a huge pickle fan, so I pander when I can. So I've got store-bought ones, but then I figured let me start making my own. And here we are.
That's awesome. My dog likes pickles.
No way.
Pickles. No, cucumbers. Sorry.
Oh,
Cucumbers, not pickles.
I was gonna say.
Wouldn't give my dog pickles. No, the cucumber. She likes. It has water. She just likes it. I'll give her a little bit, not a lot, but if I'm chopping them up, she's right there waiting for me to can you drop one slice, please?
You have a very fancy dog.
Oh, you know my dog. So go ahead.
I do. So let's talk a little bit about
why aren't pickles good for dogs? Good for dogs, what they have in them?
Yeah, vinegar not good for dogs. Saltiness not good for dogs. No, the answer is not good for dogs.
Yeah.
It's not on the
no.
dog approved list. So anyway, so what were you saying?
The difference between, you can have just pickle lots of foods. I mean, historically, pickling and fermenting are two preservation methods to increase the shelf life of foods. So, we're always talking about reducing waste on this show, eating seasonally. So pickling cucumbers takes advantage of both of those things, but you can pretty much pickle, people pickle fruits, but people pickle beets, eggs. There's lots of different ways to give them a nice soury flavor, but also to increase their shelf life. So you can do the quick pickling process, which is what we're doing today, which includes an acid, some kind of acid. And today we're using white vinegar. That's simply because that's what the recipe calls for, so I'm following it to a T. But you can also do a souring process that's called fermentation. So these are not fermented pickles, they are just pickled pickles. But you are familiar, I'm sure you guys and people listening, with the fermentation process in general. We ferment a lot of foods.
And it's good for you.
Sure. So, people use sourdough starter, which is one of the fermentation processes is called acetic fermentation. So if you've ever made starter before for sourdough bread, it almost has that vinegary smell to it. Yogurt is made with a lactic acid fermentation process. And that's how we make, obviously, yogurts, things like kimchi. If you've ever had, have you guys ever had apple cider vinegar?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've had the real deal and you look in the jar, again, that's the acetic acid fermentation process. There's naturally occurring probiotics in that vinegar. You'd almost see this sort of cloudy film inside. It's not gone bad. To the contrary, that's the presence of the probiotic. They call it the mother in the vinegars. So different methods of fermentation. Certainly that's a slightly longer process. Again, this is just a quick pickle. They were delicious and I hope you enjoy them, and I thought it'd be fun. If you have handy these pickling jars, they're like this, they're canning jars. Their Ball is a big brand. You can certainly order them. But to be quite honest with you, if you already eat pickles and you get pickles in a jar like this, save the jars. And this makes a great vessel for making quick pickles. Not the right vessel if you're going to do proper canning. And that's a whole other topic for another day. But for something like this, for making quick pickles, which will last in the refrigerator about 3 weeks or so, is perfectly acceptable. So reuse the containers that you have, particularly if they're glass, they're wonderful. And that's what I'm going to use today to use.
They won't last 3 weeks in my refrigerator. I can guarantee
Well,
you.
that's funny. That's what my friend said in his notes when he sent me the recipes. Like, they can last 3 weeks, but generally not around here.
It's not. It's gonna last 2 days, from what maybe even less. So I know your daughter likes it, so that's
How
enough.
about you on there?
So
If my son was there, we'd be gone in a day.
yeah, lots of pickle fans out there. I mean, there's big companies out there that do it, and they really are really good. So you can add in, this is a basic recipe, but if you look online, it's very forgiving. You can throw in all sorts of herbs, lemon, peppercorns, garlic cloves. There's all sorts of things you can throw in. But we're just putting in, so I've got my jar and I'm packing it with slices. And just to give you an idea of the thickness, it's about 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. And you can, I suppose you can make whole pickles in here, but that's not the way I had them. And again, like I said, when I make a recipe for the first time, I usually make it exactly as it was written, and then I start to modify. So these are sliced to 1/8 of an inch thick. If you like it thinner, that's fine, but you may need to use something called a mandolin. You guys may be familiar with that. It's basically—
It's a nice instrument. I play it when I don't play the guitar. Now go ahead.
That too. You get super, super fine, thin, almost potato chip thinness. But I don't want them that thin, so a regular old sharp knife is perfectly fine. So you don't need the mandolin if you're doing 1/8 of an inch.
But if you had the whole pickle the inside of the pickle wouldn't be as saturated as when you cut it up. Am I right about that? Or
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, I wonder the flavor. I remember, because these are called quick pickles. I think the fermented pickle might, I'm guessing here, might lend itself a little bit more because that's a lengthier process
right.
to a whole pickle. But I'm going to experiment. You know, I'm hoping that I get more cucumbers this season. So from my mouth to my cucumber garden's ears, because
Right. And from your pickling to my address.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
you find out how to ship it.
Yeah, you ship it to LA, you know.
Pack in that jar. We're going to add in, so this is a half of a cup, and I'm going to post the recipe on when I do my post for this week. It's a half of a cup of white vinegar. And by the way, guys, I buy my white vinegar because I use it for so much. Many people do, for cooking, for cleaning around the house, for laundry, you name it. So I buy the silly size, like 2-gallon container at Costco when I'm there. It's relatively inexpensive. It's even inexpensive in your regular grocery store, like Stop and ShopRite. But if you go through a lot of it, it makes sense to buy the really large container of it. So there's our half cup of white vinegar. This is kosher salt, coarse kosher salt. Say that 3 times.
Coarse
And we're
kosher
putting
salt.
in 3 teaspoons of salt. You can go, again, this is my first time making this, so I'm following this to the T. You can go a little bit less if you want. I wouldn't go more until you've tasted this to see if it's just salty enough for you. So always start low, and then the next time you make it, you can always add a little bit more if you want. So you don't, once it's in there, as you guys know, you're not gonna be able to take it out. So you wanna make sure that you always start on the lower side. We're gonna throw in 2 bay leaves, and we're gonna just shove those in there. And then what I have here is fresh dill. So, you know, most people are okay with this flavor, but if you don't like the flavor of dill, you can sub out other herbs. Like I said before, you can put in lemon, you can put in, you know, a wide variety of different seasonings. But I'm going to follow this because I love the flavor of dill. And we're going to throw in about 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped dill. And we're just going to throw that into the jar here. Throw that in. You can put in peppercorns here. You know, I've never made it before, so, and the recipe didn't have them in. So if you are going to add peppercorns, I would start on the low side. So maybe putting in about 4 to 5 peppercorns and see if that has enough of that bite for you. Because like I said, once there's too much, there's very little you can do about taking that out. So now if you've noticed, my my cucumber height is much, much lower than my, I'll hold that up close there, than my fluid, my liquid in there. So fear not, because according to this recipe, you give this a good shake. You can load up some more. And as the salt that's in here pulls the water out of the cucumber, that liquid level is going to rise. So it'll cover more of the cucumber that's inside the jar. Once you've got this all mixed up and ready to go, you're going to put it in your refrigerator. And although you can certainly start nibbling on these as quickly as an hour, within an hour, best is between 6 and 8 hours, and then a little bit thereafter. You do want to store them in the refrigerator. And importantly, just to keep bathing all of the cucumbers with that wonderful salty brine in there, vinegary brine, you want to make sure you stick your head in the fridge every, you know, maybe hour or so and give it a good spin, good shake. So everything's getting bathed, those cucumbers evenly around. So, and then that's it. They're delicious, they're fresh, they're a wonderful summer food. And whether you have the cucumber on its own, or in salads or in dips or as a crudité platter, certainly there's so many wide varieties to choose from, but consider, if you are a pickle fan, consider trying to make some on your own for sure.
Well, there's also something that I saw in the New York State Fair, and I know it's in a lot of state fairs, fried pickles. Fried pickles, because they fry everything. Oh, they
sounds familiar.
They fry pickles, they fry Twinkies, they fry Oreos. I mean, you at the state fair, wow. There is
Well,
nothing that's not in that fryer, including pickles. So I
yeah, and I
haven't,
suppose every once in a while, having a, fried pickle
yeah,
is not such a bad thing, but,
yeah,
you go
yeah,
from this incredibly healthful food, right?
right.
And then making it into a fried delicacy.
Yeah, well,
Now,
if you love pickles, you're gonna eat
what
it.
other vegetables can you pickle?
Um,
I love pickled beets.
Yeah, I'm going to the farm share that I joined, and even if you don't belong to a farm share, I know I talk about that a lot during these segments. This time of year is the time to get so much produce at a far. Not only is it nutritionally more dense because it's traveled less to get to you. Chances are it's local produce, so it's more abundant. It's going to be the best price of the year, probably, for those veggies and fruits that are in season right now. So you can pickle. I mean, sometimes you can't keep stuff fresh forever, right? So you can buy it at a more reasonable price in the grocery store, and then consider some of these preservation processes. So absolutely, Malcolm, beets are a great one. Carrots, I've got a friend who does
Cabbage, you can make sauerkraut.
cabbage.
Sauerkraut is a good fermented,
Absolutely.
I
Banana
love that.
peppers.
Kimchi, is that pickled cabbage?
Kimchi is actually fermented, so it is a probiotic containing vegetable, and that uses that lactic acid fermentation process that I mentioned before. So yeah, I mean, people do. I mean, if I'm being totally forthright about this, I'm a newbie to all this like the pickling and the fermentation. I tried to make sourdough bread early on in the pandemic, and if you ask my family, I tried and failed and tried and failed so many times. My friend finally felt so badly for me because I couldn't get the starter to start, that she gave me a shot of hers to kind of.
She gave you a hit. Yeah, okay. A hit of starter for sourdough bread. Woo, we went all out during the pandemic. Yeah.
One of my favorite ways, because the summer tomato to me, there are so many foods that are like just scream summer to me. Peaches are them. Tomatoes, just that fresh snap of a tomato in the summer is just incredible. And I miss that when, the rest of the year when I get them, but they're rather anemic, right? So a great way, if you grow your own tomato garden, fantastic. Eat what you can, but if you're getting a big crop and you don't know what to do with them, you can slow roast them. So you have them in your garden, or again, go to a market where they have beautiful Roma or plum tomatoes. Those are kind of the oblong looking ones. And you can slow roast those in the oven, about 250, no more than 300-degree heat. You definitely don't want it any more than that. And I know people don't want to leave ovens on for a couple of hours in the heat when it's hot outside. But you slow roast them with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and you let them almost dry out. And then what you can do is, once they've been cooled, you put those all in a container, line it with a little bit of olive oil on top to keep it from getting freezer burned. You pop it first of all, you can certainly put it in the refrigerator for a few days, but after that, you freeze it. And come January, when we're just so screaming for that incredible fresh tomato flavor, you add those you can make sauce out of it. You can put it into chili. You can put it into other soups. They're incredible. It's a great, great way to take advantage of summer tomatoes.
And I'm fascinated by your enthusiasm. I mean, it really comes out with food and with taste. And I can't help thinking, I've been watching this Julia Child's series on HBO, and anything I see about her, she is heart and soul about cooking.
Yes.
When we talk about this, I feel the passion coming out.
Yep. All you have to say is bon appetit.
Yeah,
I will take it as a compliment that I'm even in the same sentence as Julia Child. So.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a very good series. People should watch it.
I know you're a nutritionist and physical therapy and exercise, but this really comes out like, as I say, the passion comes out when you describe foods.
There you go.
I do love it, and I hope it's contagious to people. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, you guys know this, I'm not a trained chef. I figured it out as I went along. I did have the blessing of growing up with
You're a good
a
cook, that's
mother
for
and
sure.
mother that cooked.
You're a
So,
good cook, yeah.
you know, you learn a
So-
lot.
Yep,
So-
you just pick things up, especially
Yeah, well,
if
the
you're,
thing is that you're a little like my wife, actually, Max with this music. You can feel in your taste what goes with what. Like Max knows, the sounds. When
Mhm.
she knows this goes with that. You have that with food. And then you know that, it needs a little taste of this, a little taste. I'm clueless. I know when the thing is put together, I love it or don't love it.
yep,
There she is with the guitar.
I got my guitar here, but I'm not gonna do anything.
I know. I've been trying to, I know her for about 2 years. I've been trying to get her to go to a studio to record some of her sounds.
Maybe you can
have
record
been.
a jingle for the show, Maxine.
I'm
Right.
gonna do that, right. Well, mine, the jingle was, you want something like, Courtney on health, Courtney on health, but, oh, maybe I'll use that. No, anyway.
Anyway, for anybody
Do a
who's
punk
listening,
version, right?
if
So-
you've made pickles, share what you've done. I want to hear about it, what worked, what didn't, what herbs you throw in there. I mean, it's how people learn. I mean, it's such a great environment to share information. And I think it is a great platform for people to learn healthy cooking, how to do it. You don't have to be a fancy chef. And I think people learn from those tips. So please share so we can share out to everybody else. How to make it.
When you go to a restaurant now, you can't get a decent sour pickle. Talking about restaurants, not pickle stores.
No, you go to Katz's Deli in New York City, you're gonna get a good pickle. And I think, Arts in the Valley, they have good pickles.
Not really. I go to Arts.
All right. Anyway, so Art's got a bad name just now.
Cantor's, I can't get a decent pickle either.
All right, then you have to come to New York and you got to come to Katz's. That's it. All right, so and then the Lower East Side, you can go to the pickle guys and get a bucket.
Mhm.
By the way, that movie that you're talking about is Peter Regal is a pickle man.
Right.
And Amy Irving is the beautiful young lady. And I
Right.
think it's I'm forgetting who's the
I don't know who the
Molly Pecan.
Molly Pecan. That was it's a very nice movie. I recommend. It's Crossing Delancey, and
Yeah.
if you like pickles, watch it. No, I'm kidding. I'm giving them a plug. Okay, and now for time for our sponsors. So I think we hit the end point here. So
We hit
I
the
know,
end.
and we're gonna do a little outro here. So thanks for joining us for Courtney on
We'll
Health.
wait again. This is okay. Never mind. We'll do it in the next show that we have.
Okay.
Okay. Go do your outro.
I'm doing the outro. We'll do another outro another time. But thanks again for joining us for Courtney on Health. To get more info, follow Courtney on her Facebook page, which is Courtney on Health, on Instagram and TikTok. Oh my God, at CLG Wellness. Visit her website, CourtneyGravenese.com. For more shows, go to MalcolmPresents.com and theManyShadesOfGreen.com. This is Courtney on Health, smart, sound nutrition, strong, safe fitness. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
See you next time.
And Courtney,
time.
next time I want you to do the taste test.
Oh, you got it. Absolutely.
To
If
see
they
how
last
it
that
is.
long.
I don't think you better maybe keep some aside for next week. So we
All right, I'm gonna hide them.
hide them now.
And if you approve, the next thing you have to do is find out how to ship it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
You got it.
All right,
Because
guys.
I'm looking forward to it. Anyway,
All right.
guys,
Take care.
have a great week.
Bye.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.